Okay, here we go. We're back again. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping you're all excited and happy with what you've been getting for $5. And some of you will never be happy unless it's for free. So, hey, what can I say? All right. The number 3, and then we got number 4. Okay. Oh, yeah, number 4. This should be interesting. How to use it. I think even the practitioners will like this one. Anyways, getting ahead of myself again. Just giving you a little teaser called a trailer. They do that on Netflix. Give you a little trailer. Okay, number 3, explanation of purpose of the Meridian system. Again, as mentioned in the etheric body, not to be mistaken for the Chinese Meridian system and the physical body, 2 different things all together. Okay, now, I need my chart here again. And we're going to start the bottom of the feet. The meridians on the bottom of the feet. Whether you are aware of it or not, everybody that walks on this planet is in touch with the earth and in touch with your breath. Most people already assume that when you are breathing, you're breathing in through your nose. No, not just through your nose. You are literally breathing at another level through your feet. And the breathing with the physical coincides with the breathing through the feet. So that when you actually take a breath, you perceive you're breathing in air from the physical, but at another level in the etheric, you are breathing in energy through the bottoms of the feet. The one thing about the meridian system is the whole of the meridian system is for the purpose of achieving balance, uniformity, and cohesiveness through the whole of the physical body system in three-dimensional reality. And in many cases, what I found is when I was doing a lot of energy work, some people like to call it healing work, is I would find that just about everybody would be imbalanced at the feet, and in most cases the meridians were not even open, or only open partially, and in some cases, as the person was breathing, you got more energy flowing up one foot than the other, indicating a serious imbalance, which in turn would indicate a serious imbalance somewhere in the physical body. Because if you're not breathing appropriately through the body, then that's when the problems begin to start. Okay, now, that's what the 2 on the bottom of the feet are for. When they're open appropriately, what you have is an even flow of energy flowing through all of the bodies. And very rarely, during the time that I did energy work, which was for about 25 years, did I find people who are perfect. I did find a hell of a lot of people who were very reasonably close, and then I realized that reasonably close will do. Perfection is not required. All right, in that sense. And when I found that, I usually found a very healthy person on top of that with some minor little idiosyncrasies or minor issues or problems going through them. Okay. The other thing here with the bottoms of the feet is to be remembered here. And this is just a little extra point that I want to throw into people. Is when you are doing your meditations and whatever breathing exercise you may or may not be doing, take a moment, just take a moment to focus your attention to your feet And just try and focus as if you're breathing up through your feet, through both legs, and all the way through your body. See what happens, just for the hell of it, all right? But that's what they're there for. Because the energy flow will go up both legs, it has that purpose of balancing the energy. The key to successful health is balancing the energy. When there are imbalances of energy, the body physical will react in some organ or some place with a dysfunctional manifestation of some form. And most of those forms are based on incorrect, illogical, and belief systems that are out of date in that sense. And that's what the bottoms of the feet are for, those two meridians. All right. The next thing that I want to do is in the discussion here with, as I've mentioned in the two previous videos, of what I call the minor meridians. And as I mentioned, there were two in the knees, two in the chest area, two in the elbows, two in the tops of the shoulders. Now, those small meridians, as I point out, were about the size of a dime. And their sole purpose and only purpose is to act somewhat like a release valve. What that minor meridian system does is it tries to balance out or release where there's an overload. Say, for example, you've got a person who's basically only got one meridian open on one side of the body, and the other one on the other foot is closed or it's only partially open. The meridian system will try to compensate by releasing the overflow of energy that's on one side to help to try to balance out what's on the other side. You follow what I'm saying? And this works for the whole of that system. All of those 8 meridians together are nothing more than release valves in that sense. And the two at the knees, 2 in their chest, and the 2 in the chest actually in the same principle because they're in the upper diaphragm. They work in directly conjunction with the heart center. And because they're so small, most people as a general rule are not even aware of them per se until they actually start to open. There's physical conditions which are temporary. But the 2 in the chest area, the specific purpose is to work with the heart chakra and the heart-lung function. And again, as many of you know, you can have breathing, or you can have energy flowing into the heart center chakra that the person may not be quite ready to handle. And some of that energy needs to be released. And it's released through those 2 in the chest area. Now, in many cases, what I've found in working with a lot of people, and I've heard my practitioners talk about the same thing, is when you have people with heart center awakening, not always do you have a balance of masculine and feminine in the heart center chakra. I need to emphasize that point. To have a balance of yin-yang, you have to have a balance of masculine and feminine. I know there's a popular theme in the spiritual community amongst some that this is the time of the divine feminine. No, it is not. It is a time for a balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine in equal manifestation, manifesting energetically through the heart center chakra. This then will produce a balance of masculine and feminine within both hemispheres of the brain. These 2 little meridians that are there in the chest area are there for nothing more than to release or compensate for any kind of disbalance or inharmony that's going on in the heart center chakra development for this case. Now, these meridians, be they minor, are very, very important in fact, because if they weren't there, we would be in dire trouble in regards to development of the etheric body. Now, this is why I say to you, and I want to emphasize this point. This is excruciatingly important. And as we change our belief systems, as we let go of previous belief systems, especially about spirituality and the evolution of spirituality, especially in the new age of the spiritual community, we have been limited even in those belief systems. And what has happened at this particular point is these meridians and the chakra system actually open and function accordingly to the spiritual maturity, and I've mentioned this before, that we develop as we go along. So these particular two here in the heart center area are mostly for that particular purpose of releasing the energies in that way, one side or the other. Also, there's another thing to take into consideration. When the heart center opens, there has to be correspondingly a change in the heart rhythm, the sound of the heart, and the frequency of the physical heart to correspond with the actual heart center opening. These two meridians on the chest area compensate for any, how do I call it, overflow or overextended energy flows in the upper part of the diaphragm. So these major meridians are excruciatingly important. Now, the two on the top of the shoulder, okay, again, and the two and the elbows, again, they manifest as release for most people depending upon what they're doing. But specifically here for people who are doing energy work, what happens is as you're doing energy work, you develop a flow through the body that's different in general terms from the spiritual person who's not doing, or the evolving person who's not doing healing work. What happens is these meridians become extremely important in the elbows and on the shoulders, and they develop even more to the sense that when you're not doing healing, you're still producing that same energy that developed you into a healer. Or, if you don't like that term, say nobody does healing and all of that, old caca stuff we keep harping about. If you're doing healings, you're a healer. You're healing people. Okay, you're helping them heal themselves. And you're actually doing healing for them because you're actually working with these meridians and you're working with the chakra system and you're working with the etheric body. So you are doing the work that they are unable to do for themselves by helping them. So you're a healer. Let's give some credit where some credit's due and get rid of all this old poo-poo caca crap in the spiritual community that is you're not doing healing, they heal themselves. That's simply not true anymore. It is simply not true. Okay? So these two here do that for specifically that reason on the chest, and the four that I've mentioned here are oriented towards the people that do energy work as a release valve for overabundance of energy, because as you do healing work with people, these minor meridians, those four that I'm talking about, they become really, really strongly developed for the reason of being able to release the energies when you're not doing energy work. And also the ones in the elbows are do the same thing, they're release valve. Have you ever heard of what they call tennis elbow? Well, obviously tennis elbow has become completely doing this all the time, is whacking it back and forth and all that kind of stuff. Whacking it back and forth, yeah, right. Okay, and that's what happens is they blow the meridian right out of shape. Okay, it's the same thing with runners. A lot of time runners will develop knee problems, and what they do is they blow out the meridian, literally, and damage it in the knees because of overextending the running that they're doing. These are professional athletes, I might add, not the average person. And they have to take time out to heal the knees. And this is exactly what happened to that very famous hockey player, Bobby Orr. He blew out the meridians in his knees, and he was done, kind of thing, by overextended activity. And it was an area that was weak in his physical body. So, yeah, that's what these four are for. Okay, for that purpose, they're release valve. In the average person, they are still there, but they're not as well developed, and they are there to release energies when there's overuse of the hands or the arms in any way, shape, or form, be it whatever they're doing in their particular career or whatever. For example, professional athlete or somebody who's using their hands a lot in creative work, this is what would happen. Say for somebody who's a carpenter or somebody who does a lot of work with their hands, those meridians would release extended or overextended energy that is manifest through the heart center development. Especially, I might add, in the beginning, when somebody's heart center actually opens and it's open for the first time, and all of a sudden their life goes to all that uncontrolled stuff and everything falls apart kind of thing. If these meridians were not there in regards to the shoulders, the elbows, the knees, and on the chest, and if they were not open to some degree, we would be having a lot more serious problems with individuals going through spiritual awakening. I can assure you of that fact. Okay. All right. Now, before I get to the major ones, the 2 in the hips and the 2 in the ribs, I want to do the other ones. Okay. Just take care of that first, because I got to spend more time on the 4 by definition here, and that are the most important. Now, the 2 in the hands, again, manifest as, let me put it this way. If you are doing healing work, the 2 in the hands must manifest in that way. And I think I actually forgot in my last video here to give the information on the symptoms of the hands awakening. And I think I did, to be quite honest with you. So I'll correct that now. I'll just throw it in with this one. I do apologize for that oversight, but I did forget the hands. When the hands are beginning to open, the meridians in the hands, they are open in general terms, partially in a lot of people. But when they open fully, you can actually get a lot of pain in your hands. You can feel like somebody's driving a spike or a nail right through the palm of your hand, and it can really hurt for an overextended period of time. And actually, at some point during the time, you may even feel losing the feeling in your fingers and get a lot of pain extending. It'll almost seem like the pain will go right down your finger like a thermometer gauge going up, and then it will come back down again. And this can go on for weeks and months in that particular scenario. And this can go on in one hand and rotate to the other kind of deal, and back and forth, the same thing as I mentioned before in the other video. I do apologize again for forgetting about those two. When those meridians in the hands awaken, the purpose is, of course, for sensitivity in the hands. And it is a time when you feel them opening that you should be taking very good care of your hands, especially your fingers, because you're going to need them for a lot of very sensitive, intuitive, and empathic type of development that's going to take place for you. If you happen to be a musician, or an artist, and you use your hands in that way, pay attention, because this and the opening of these here meridians are going to give you access to greater development and greater creativity with the use of your hands, in conjunction with you'll be able to connect with your empathic abilities, your seeing abilities, your creative abilities, and a direct connection to the manifestation of the co-creative powers of the heart center with the meridians in your hands for the purpose of creativity. The same as it is with somebody who does healing. It's the same thing with somebody who does music, somebody who does artistic work, somebody who does any kind of creative work with their hands are going to become more and more creative in that particular situation. Somebody who plays, for example, a piano is going to be able to play that piano with greater creativity in that sense. So just kind of sorry about the flub on that one again. I apologize 3 times. I'm not going to do it again. And those are what the hand meridians are for. And that's what they're going to be used for as you kind of go along. Other people will come up with other stuff that pertains to them at that particular point in time. Okay, now, what I'm going to do now is I want to go to, that was the minor ones that I gave. Okay, the 2 in the hands, which I forgot about. Where do I want to go next here? I've got the chart here, Sandy, so I'm looking at it. Where do I want to go? Oh, yes, well, we'll go to the 2 on the sides of the neck. Now, some of you probably have already figured out that these 2 meridians have no other purpose than to be directly involved with the thyroid gland. And you're right. We have a situation here in Canada especially, where we have a lot of people have come up with thyroid problems, either overdeveloped or overactive thyroid or underactive thyroids. And the purpose of those 2 meridians on either side of the neck, a practitioner will know how to apply manipulation, pressure, and energy flow through those 2 meridians to assist in the proper balancing of the thyroid gland. That's the only purpose that they have in that way. People, if they become aware of the meridian system, can attempt to do this on their own by focusing on those 2 meridians, as it were. And you can actually take both of your fingers, take your small little fingers, if you would, on either side and place them directly over the meridians on the side of the neck and go into a meditative state, center yourself to the heart center and feel a flow of energy moving from the heart center to those 2 meridians on the throat. And you may find yourself may be able to put yourself back into balance in the area of the thyroid. And you don't have to be diagnosed by a physician to sometimes know you have a problem with your thyroid. Most people who have developed any sense of empathy or intuitiveness, they know themselves without having to be diagnosed. In many cases, what the issue does is with these tools that I'm giving you, is you will be able to assist yourself in finding areas of problem or issues within yourself and using them, these meridians and the chakra system, for actually assisting yourself before going to a doctor and getting them to diagnose you by sticking stuff in your body and jamming you full of medication and running through you 10,000 tests and costing you thousands of dollars, especially in the US, when you could do this all by yourself, all right? And then, if you can't figure it out, is the time to go and see the physician, all right? One of the things that I found with working with people is I don't want to take your power away from you. What I want to do is empower you, all right? When you use the medical profession, they want to take your power from you and tell you what you need, all right, by doing it their method that they use. Hey, if you break a leg, that's the place to go. What I'm saying to you is you can do this yourself by using this and making some kind of diagnosis. And then if you want validation, go to a physician and get the test if you have the money or the means to be able to pay for it in that particular way. All I'm doing is making a suggestion here. A lot of you can do this. Again, we have become so dependent upon the medical system for almost everything, which is why some of us are very unhealthy at this particular point in time, because a lot of the stuff that they shove into us is not good for us, period. As you already know, and some of you found out the hard way. On the other hand, if you've got a problem and you have to get it fixed, then by all means, okay, I'm not knocking the medical profession, I'm just knocking the belief systems that go along with it. All right. The 2 behind the ears. Again, these 2 meridians, I have found from my experience and the experience of others, if you take your small little finger, again, and you take both hands at the same time, simultaneously put your small fingers in that little pocket in your ear, and projecting and flowing energy through it is very good for what are called migraine headaches. Very good, in fact. What they seem to do is, if you have a flow of energy going, is to balance out either side of both hemispheres of the brain in that particular capacity. And the other thing that I would suggest to you, if you're prone to migraine headaches, I would suggest to you that you take a look at your thinking pattern or your mental body and find out what kind of a person you are when it comes to thinking about things, all right? And when I say thinking about things, what things are you thinking about? And I have found over a period of years that people who have migraine headaches seem to have habitual habits of thinking that can facilitate these types of headaches, although the medical profession would say otherwise. I have a different sense and feeling, and that's what those 2 little meridians behind the ears are for. Allowing the energy to flow can be helpful in regards to migraine headaches. All right? Now, while I'm there and up on the head, I might as well go to the 2 little spots over the eyes that I mentioned before. These 2 little meridians are directly in conjunction with the 3rd eye chakra. Apparently, what's happened is this, and I'm going to try to explain it this way. A great many of us are having 3rd eye openings. And when the 3rd eye opens, not necessarily are we always seeing good stuff. We are seeing in a lot of cases a lot of junk, a lot of gross stuff, and stuff that we don't understand exactly what is being presented to us. And in most cases, what we're doing is filtering. We're filtering out all the crap and junk that we have experienced previously, as you might understand it, during this particular go-round, or what others call reincarnation. I call it in different timelines and dimensions simultaneously at the same time. And you're streaming this stuff out. And as you do so, what happens, these two little meridians will open up. They're so tiny, they're very, very small. I wasn't even going to put them in when originally I was shown them, but it was suggested to me that I do that. What they do is balance out the third eye receiving. And what you're able to do is take your own empathic abilities, your own sensitivity, and your own sense of self-awareness, and use them for your own type of seeing, feeling, and sensing, if you will, through the third eye chakra, in conjunction with the whole of the new meridian system that is coming into play. And that's basically what it's for. And it's also in conjunction with improving your eyesight. The energies coming in from those little meridians are directly channeled through the eyeballs, if I can put it that way, physically, and would appear to me, to many, to manifest over an extended period of time a superior sense of eyesight, which can entail, in some cases, changes of color of the eyes. All right, something that has cropped up recently in regards to communicating with people. All right, now, I want to make sure I don't miss anything this time. Okay. Let us now go to the tailbone, where I talked before about bum shooters. Okay, remember those bum shooters? I like that one. What happened one day, and this happened to me personally, so I will give you my example and a couple of other examples that I've heard about, and what I used to do when this situation came up. I'm sitting, and this was many, many years ago, when my Kundalini had first started. I was about, I don't know, about 43, 44, somewhere around that age. Kundalini was very active, and it was also all over the place. And I was constantly having the situation of pressure building up in my tailbone, and I would get a throbbing kind of sensation, and I would have those bum shooters, as I call them, electrical charges shooting right into the anal area and causing me even sometimes to jump when it would happen. And one night I was sitting there watching television, and the whole routine started again, and I just kind of wasn't really paying attention. I kind of stuck my hand in the back of my pants, and I kind of started just massaging the tip of my tailbone, and all of a sudden everything just let go, and I was just massaging it kind of gently, and everything went shooting up, just like that. I said, oh my God. And the bum shooters disappeared, the throbbing tailbone disappeared, and the energy flow was moving along quite nicely. And I found out afterwards, okay, spontaneously, by whatever means. Okay, but who believes in spontaneous anymore? Hang on, drop my glasses on the floor. Who believes in spontaneous anymore? Everything happens for a reason, and there's no such thing as coincidence. All right, I found that out. No such thing. So what happened is, as the situation evolved, and I think it was a couple of years later when I started actually doing healing work on people, I had quite a few people come to me, and they would say, like, Mel, I really got a sore tailbone, and I knew right away what the problem was. And, you know, it's like really hurting me, and I find it I'm very uncomfortable sitting because I feel like I'm sitting on my tailbone and it hurts. You know, I got a job where I'm sitting a lot during the day, and I really having a problem with this. Is there anything that you can do? So again, here is where some caution comes into play with this type of a situation. Doing this for excuse me, oh, I burped. I beg your pardon. Doing this for yourself is one thing. Doing it for another person, if you're doing energy work, is however another. You need to know what the laws of the land are. And here in Canada, unless I'm mistaken, somebody will correct me, you are not allowed to play with a person's tailbone. It's not acceptable, socially, and or otherwise, so I'm told. So in situations where I had a client that complained of this particular situation, what I would do if I was doing energy work with them, I would say to them, okay, I'm going to step out of the room for a moment. What I'd like you to do is take your hand, stick it in behind yourself, and go to your tailbone, and I'd like you to massage it gently with your small little finger right on the tip, and just massage it. And 9 times out of 10, it would work, and the energy would move up. In some cases, I think in the 25 years that I was involved in energy work, I assisted 3 other people to do it by doing it for them, with their clothes on, of course. And I found that it worked. But again, it was an extreme situation, otherwise I wouldn't do it at all. And I would only do it with a client that I knew very, very well, and the client trusted me and I trusted the client. I would do it. So if you're going to do any of that kind of thing, do it for yourself first of all. And it may also work for your partner. Or nowadays also, you may have children going through Kundalini awakening who are complaining about a sore back and their tailbones being sore. You might want to try this. You might want to try it, just see what happens. Don't be surprised if what I said becomes extremely important here also at that point. Okay, now, moving up, moving on up to the east side, I want to go now to the back of the heart center chakra between the shoulder blade. And this is where I talked about the knot or the bubble or the blob or whatever. In this particular situation here, this meridian is somewhat of a safety mechanism initially for when the heart center opens. This is what its purpose is. And let me see, did I drop something down on that? No, I didn't. Okay, I thought I had. What it's there for is to keep the heart center activation to an appropriate level while the individual is going through a certain level of growth that can be very, very difficult initially in the beginning. It's like putting a cap on a stream of energy so too much energy doesn't flow into the situation. The cap stays there until the person reaches the appropriate time that they've developed the personality changes, they've dropped a lot of their ideologies and belief systems, they're beginning to open up, and they're beginning to understand what self-awareness and what evolution spiritually is all about, and they have let go of a lot of belief systems. That cap or the plug or the knot, whatever you want to call it, or the meridian at the back of the heart center chakra is a safety mechanism. Now, unfortunately, because we live in an environment let's put it this way, in our society is living in a toxic environment, the air we breathe and everything else. But let me also say that a lot of the population on this planet is toxic, all right? They're full of toxins, they're full of belief systems, they're full of ideologies, they're full of the concept of being a predator and preying on others in many different forms and fashion. Let's be honest, we are a predator society. Take a look around you. Everybody's on the hustle in some way, hustling somebody else at some time or another. Even the best of us in the purest states have a hard time at times not to fall back into that old thing. And this is where this meridian comes into play. It is a safety mechanism to keep us from abusing, as it were, the situation that we're evolving to. However, when it's time, and we have reached a point of self-empowerment through challenge and difficulty, and we can appreciate what it would feel like to be preyed upon. And this is why a lot of times when you see spiritual people evolving and waking up, they have found themselves in difficult situations through their life, being the recipient of sexual abuse or manipulation or narcissists or you name it. There's just all kinds of abuses going on the planet. And that's why I say a lot of humanity is toxic. I mean, you only have to look at the leaders in some countries nowadays to realize just how toxic it's become. Because the leaders in any country are a symbol or the pinnacle of the consciousness of the people that elected them, in that sense, all right? So if you have a toxic leader, you have a toxic society, in that sense. And this is happening a lot on our planet right now. all subject to change. So when a person reaches the appropriate level of growth and maturity, that they're no longer a predator, they have become, shall we say, a go-giver, in the sense of the word, then at that particular point, however that manifests in their life, be it through whatever venue, it's time for this meridian to open. And sometimes it gets stuck. And what happens is it needs to be open. And what it does is, as it opens up, the sole purpose of it is to eliminate at an energetic level and allow, it's like an exhaust tube or exhaust pipe on a car, all of the crap and whatever else it doesn't need, not necessarily toxins and toxic stuff, but whatever overflow it doesn't require or need flows out through the back of that exhaust port, at the back of the heart center. So that meridian is very, very important, to say the least, at this particular point in time. Now, that's the kind of the purpose of it. So I realize here also, again, there will probably be a boatload of questions. After this, I will do my best to go back and answer the most of them, which may require additional videos based on the questions that are going to come up from some of you. Yes, I will do those videos. I will do those videos for you as the questions or issues come up on them, because for me to go ahead and sit in, and I thought about this in between doing this third video, to answer all of the questions in the comment section, because I know what will happen, the same questions will get repeated over and over again in different comment sections in the videos. So what I thought it over, and what I'm going to do, instead of answering all of the questions in the comments, I'm going to read the comments, and I'm going to do a video on the comments with the questions that are seen to be the most important ones that pertain to the meridian system, because I know there's going to be a lot of them. All right. Now, I'm going to end this video here because we're getting a little long on the tooth here. And there will be a fourth video. And the fourth video will be the meridian system and how to use it. Now, even my practitioners don't have this, because I was told to give them what I gave them to this point. And this video here is a situation of, how am I going to put this? And I don't want to sound egotistical here. This video is a potential, it might come into manifestation at this time. It depends upon the general sense of consciousness and comments that I see where the collective is at this particular point in time. You have to understand something. I'm not interested per se just, helping just one person at a time or two people at a time. I'm interested in the collective as a whole, not just one individual or two individuals or three individuals, but as a collective as a whole. And I've learned to bite my tongue at times when I have been tempted to rush into it and give information too quickly. And I have done that in the past, and I saw it in my own videos. And when I do that, it creates a lot of criticism from people who are nowhere near that vibrational level in the collective. So I tend to kind of do it in that way, and I think most of you will understand, all right? So the fourth one is tentative, based on the collective consciousness that I see through the comments and the situation of other people that present it, okay, in that way. All right, I think that will suffice for today. Everyone have a great day. Hope the information is helpful to you. Enjoy. It came from the heart, which came from the source, which was passed through me to pass to you. And I think I did it reasonably well. Have a great day, everybody.